What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk about how getting rid of gluten entirely from your diet can drastically increase your ability to stay focused and to get work done. If you have writer's block, if you're an artist and you have creativity issues, if you feel like, regardless of what you do in life for a living, if you feel like, and even if you're not a creative person, if you feel like you've hit a roadblock, and if you feel like you cannot progress, I want you to look at the foods that you eat, and I want you to be drastically and radically honest with yourself, and I want you to ask yourself if you consume gluten. Gluten has a very strange effect on your entire physiology. It completely wrecks your ability to absorb nutrients, and it destroys your intestinal integrity. So long story short, gluten proteins are very difficult to get broken apart in the stomach. And because of that, they go into the small intestine without being properly pre-digested, and they wreak havoc on your intestinal villi. They actually destroy your colonies of intestinal villi. And this is important to understand because your intestinal villi absorb nutrients from the food you eat. And what have most people eaten the majority of their life? Well, most people have eaten a lot of gluten. Breads, pastas, whole grains, wheat. Again, the average American eats over 130 pounds of wheat every year, and that's just one grain of multiple that people consume that contain gluten. Gluten is a family of proteins, of which there are two main proteins, gliadin and glutenin. And gliadin and glutenin are very difficult to be broken apart in the stomach before they are shuttled into or transited or ferried into the small intestine. So what happens is in the small intestine, you have these undigested proteins that tumble through your system and destroy your absorptive tissues. So now, after years of eating gluten, you cannot absorb nutrients from the food that you eat. This is the genius of the gluten agenda. It destroys your ability to absorb nutrients from whatever you eat, regardless of whether it's healthy or not. Now, gluten, aside from it wrecking your intestinal integrity and your ability to absorb nutrients from your food, it has a very inflammatory effect on your brain. It just agitates everything in your body. And when you get rid of this stuff, more often than not, what I've noticed from people that I've communicated and worked with, including myself, your focus increases 10,000-fold. Your ability to sit down and get things done skyrockets. Your ability to be creative and think outside of the box skyrockets, excuse me. There's a reason why they want everybody on this waste. There's a reason why on the bottom of the food pyramid it's whole grains and cereals and refined carbohydrates and pastas and all the bullshit. It's because they want they want this type of food to be the main part of your diet. It's insanity. It's totally criminal and out of control. This entire system needs a complete overhauling, and we need to do it or start by taking care of ourselves and revamping our own health, because you guys, the health statistics here in the Matrix are deplorable. I've said it once and I'll say it again. In 1976, the US Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. We are destroying ourselves with what we eat, what we think. You know, it's just a mess. There are so many factors to health: the lighting, the water, all of it. Just take control of what you eat first and foremost. Take control of what you drink, and block the blue light. And there's just, again, you guys, there's so many ways to take care of your health, but I would highly suggest that if you're not willing to do all the stuff that we talk about here on this channel, I would highly suggest, if you're going to do one thing, just get rid of gluten for 6 months and watch how your life changes. And I would highly suggest not, consuming all the gluten-free stuff once you get off of it. And what I mean by that, and that may sound contradictory, so just hear me out. What I mean by that is, don't start eating gluten-free tortillas and gluten-free oats, and don't just take your current diet and just exchange everything for gluten-free versions. Just because something's gluten-free doesn't mean that it's not filled full of toxic, rancid vegetable oils and preservatives and metals and fortified synthetics. That stuff's just as bad for you folks. But getting off of gluten, I've seen it time and time again, and I've seen it on myself. It increases your ability to stay centered, to stay grounded, to stay happy, and to stay focused on what you need to stay focused on in life. Getting rid of gluten helps you reestablish your foundation. And it makes sense, because how can you have a foundation if you've been consuming something your whole life that destroys your body's ability to absorb nutrients? You literally don't have a foundation. Gluten consumption equates to nutrient malabsorption. Nutrient malabsorption equates to you not nourishing yourself. And if you can't nourish yourself, if you can't absorb nutrients, you will never have a foundation with your health, and you will never have a vibrant, radiant lifestyle. Because again, that would be like having a vehicle that had a bunch of holes in the gas tank. As you fill the gas up, it just leaks out. And now you can only utilize, what, 20% of the gas in the tank? That's ridiculous. That is what gluten is doing to us, folks. It's a very simple concept to understand. They want us on, I'm not even going to say that, ladies and gentlemen. A salt-restricted diet and a gluten-heavy diet is what's causing a lot of nutrient deficiencies, because we need salt to produce adequate amounts of stomach acid. We need to get rid of the gluten so we can absorb nutrients. So, you know, having a digestive, or having a stomach with weak stomach acid, that's just part of it. And then that's part of how we're destroying ourselves, excuse me. And on top of that, you're eating gluten. Gluten is Latin for glue. It is a very gluey substance. It leaves a residuous, sticky layer of residue in your intestines. So, if you want to increase your focus, if you want to increase your peace of mind, your sanity, if you want to feel more confident, get rid of the gluten. This stuff is absolute waste, ladies and gentlemen, and it does not belong in your body. Peace be with you all.